Good morning, students. Welcome to our science lesson, and today we are going to learn about ecosystems. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to define an ecosystem, give examples of ecosystem, and identify the roles or jobs of different organisms in an ecosystem. So first of all, let's see what's an ecosystem. Ecosystems are environments or communities where living and non-living things interact with each other. So there are living things and non-living things together in an area like a community. We call it an ecosystem. There are two parts of an ecosystem, which is biotic and abiotic. And biotic means living, abiotic means non-living. So you know already, plants, animals, bacteria, virus, all comes in the living. And abiotic or non-living things are water, stone, fire, rocks, whatever, which is not living. And mainly we know that plants are the main source of everything, because you have plants, they make their own food using photosynthesis. By the process of photosynthesis, using sunlight, carbon dioxide and water to give out the sugar needed and the oxygen. Now here you can see an example of a pond ecosystem. So you can see there are so many living things over here: mosquito, dragonfly, duck, duckling, frog, pond skater, water lily, fish, tadpole, duck potato, leech, water scorpion, water beetle, newt, water snail, frog spawn. So all these are different living things here. Now, and also you have grass around. So what are the non-living things you can say over here? The soil, you can say the water, the air, all these are the non-living things. Now how big is an ecosystem? An ecosystem can be small as a place beneath the rocks, or it can be as big as the ocean. Even the whole earth can be considered as a very big ecosystem. If you consider the place beneath the rock, when you pick up a rock, if there is water below it, small wetness, you will see maybe some small insects or something, but actually there are more things there. If you magnify, we will see the microorganisms and all living, so that's why even a place beneath the rock or a puddle of water is an ecosystem. Now a healthy ecosystem has many different kinds of organisms. Just like I showed you the picture of the pond, it's not just one or two. Like if you take a forest, there are so many organisms: trees, deers, plants, all kind of animals, insects, they are there. And also there are some organisms which we don't see, right? So we forget because we don't see the bacteria, the fungus, or tiny insects. Even there are insects living under the ground, some worms and things. So this ecosystem, there is a balance in the ecosystem because there is a balance between these organisms. And organisms only survive in an ecosystem where their specific needs are met. We know that all organisms or all living things have some needs, such as food, water, air, and if something is not met, they cannot survive. So what will happen? They will die, or they will move to somewhere else, right? If they don't have enough food or something. And if the balance is broken, organisms can die. So you can see an example here. Just imagine what will happen if there is no sunlight. Of course, the plants, the water weeds, and they cannot make food because these are the plants. And when they cannot make food, the flies, the snail, eventually everything will die out. We talked already about that when we learned the food chain. If there are no producers, no plants, no life on earth. And what about if there is no water? Again, the same thing. The fish will die. These water weeds will die because they are grown in water. So there is a balance between all these. There is an interaction between all these. That's why we call it an ecosystem. Now here are some examples of ecosystem. You have the desert ecosystem. The soil and the climate and the plants and animals you find in a desert ecosystem is different from what you find in the tropical rainforest ecosystem. You can see even the picture is completely different. So all the living things in each of these ecosystems are different. And you can see the deciduous forest in the temperate zones. This is in a different ecosystem. So you will have differences between the ecosystems. So now we are done with what is an ecosystem. We are able to define it. The different examples we are done. Now we are to the third objective, which is the role of the different organisms, the different living things. So jobs or the roles can be divided into three actually: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Now there are two types of consumers, which is primary consumers and secondary consumers. Let's see each of these in detail. Producers, you already know. What are producers? Yes, the green plants, they are the producers. And why are they called producers? Because they make or produce their own food using the energy from sunlight, right? Now, what is the second group? It is consumers. And which are the consumers? They are the animals, right? And why they are called consumers? Because they get energy by consuming or eating other animals. Now we told that there are two types of consumers: primary consumer and secondary consumer. Now, what is the primary consumer? Yes, the first consumer, which eat the plants. And what are these animals which eat plants called? Yes, herbivores. So herbivores are the primary consumers. Now, who will be the secondary consumer? Yes, the carnivores, because they eat these animals. So you already know producers, you already know consumers. Now we have a new section which you did not learn, which is decomposers. Now these are the living things that feed on the dead matter. So when there are dead animals or plants, these decomposers eat them, breaking it down. Like for example, fungi, bacteria, worms, ants, millipedes, etc. Some of them we can see, some it's very hard, it's microorganisms we cannot see. These just eat them and break down into small parts. That's why they are called decomposers, because they decompose. Compose means make, create something. Decompose is the opposite. They are breaking it into smaller parts. They are not making something new from small things, right? Now, decomposers are like the housekeepers of an ecosystem. Why they are called housekeepers? Because without them, what will happen? The dead plants and animals would keep piling up, right? All the dead animals and plants, just imagine if all of them are still in the world. It will pile up so much, it will be disgusting. And also, all the nutrients is trapped in these dead animals and plants, because plants use the nutrients and energy and made food, and when the animals eat, it's with them, and the energy is trapped over there. So actually the decomposers, what they are doing, they are cleaning up the dead material by processing it and returning the nutrients to soil for producers. Because when they eat them, they are breaking down and making it like soil, and they mix it with soil. So they are actually helping by returning the nutrients to the soil. So you can see it's like a circle, because we start with the producer, the plants, they make the food, and then the primary consumers eat from these plants, and the secondary consumers eat the primary consumer. Sometimes you have the tertiary, the final consumer, when you have 3 or 4. The third consumer, the fourth consumer, like this. And when it dies, what will happen? The decomposers will break down to the soil, and the producers will take it from the soil again. So it's like a circle. You can see another example over here. The plants make food using the sunlight's energy, and then you have grasshoppers which eat on these plants, and then you have mice which eat the grasshoppers, then you have snakes which eat the mice, the eagles eat the snakes, and when the hawks, they die, what happened? The fungi break the bodies down and turn them to nutrients, and the nutrients along with the sun and water cause the grass to grow again, because they need nutrients from the soil, right? So I hope you understood. We did all the 3 objectives today. So what is an ecosystem? It's a community of living and non-living things interacting with each other. And we saw examples: a puddle of water, a pond, desert ecosystem, rainforest ecosystem. These were examples. And the third objective today was the roles or the duties or the jobs of different organisms. We have producers who produce or make food. We have consumers who consume or eat what is made by the producers. We have primary and secondary consumer because we have herbivores and carnivores. And the last group was decomposers. They are the one who eat the dead things. By actually they are breaking it down and cleaning up the dead things and making they are returning the nutrients back to the soil. Understand? So now let's do the pupils book, page 32. What you have learned. A blank is a community of living things in one place. Yes, an ecosystem. All the materials the living things need are recycled, because it's coming back again. It's like a circle, right? They make food, it's go and it's come back. So it's recycled again as they feed, grow, die, and decay. The system sustains itself because it has the things. You don't need someone else coming from outside and giving them something. It's already there in the system. The plants need nutrients, which is given by the decomposers. It's living things are interacting with each other and giving what they need. So green plants are the producers. Animals that eat plants are called herbivores, and they are the primary consumers. What about that eat other animals? They are secondary consumers. And the nutrients in the dead plants and animals are returned to the soil by decomposers such as worms, fungi, bacteria, etc. Now you can open your notebook. Let's do the check your progress. You have only 2 questions. Don't forget to write the date, lesson number, name and page number, and the subheading check your progress. Now first question. Explain why every ecosystem must include green plants. Yes, we already discussed, if there are no plants, no life, right? Because plants are the producers and give oxygen. So if plants are not there, there is no ecosystem. There are no more living things left. Now give examples of living things that are decomposers. Yes, you can say mushroom, bacteria, fungi, worms. And why could an ecosystem not survive without them? Why? Because they return the nutrients back to the soil for the plants to use, right? And if there is no, then they cannot survive. So they return the nutrients back to the soil. If you have done with this, we can go to the workbook, page 13. And with that, we will finish the lesson. So in page 13, the first question is to unscramble the words to make sentences that describe an ecosystem. So what's the first one? An ecosystem is a, community of plants, animals and smaller organisms. And the next one, it's easy. An ecosystem sustains itself. So this is about ecosystem. Now let's move to question 2 to 4. They're showing that it's related to this diagram. Now you can see it's an ecosystem inside a bottle. Okay. So the first question is, which of these living things in the ecosystem are producers? Yes, the plant. The plants are the producers. Well, consumers? Yes, we have caterpillar, which is eating from the leaves. Now, what are the decomposers here? Yes, you have 2, which is bacteria and worms. Now, describe the importance of decomposers in ecosystem. We talked about it already. Yes, they return the nutrients back to soil. This is their main job. Now to the last question. Describe what will happen to the ecosystem if it's covered with a black cloth to block the sunlight. What will happen? Yes, it will die because no sunlight, plants cannot make food. So, the caterpillar cannot eat, and then bacteria and worms will die because they have nothing to eat also. So, thank you. With that, we come to the end of the lesson. I hope you really understood the lesson. It's just very easy. Most of the things we learned before. So have a nice day. See you in the next class. Bye.